family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR Prepping. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel where we just talk about preparedness. We just talk about what me and my family do and different things that we do to get ready for different events. And hopefully that helps you think about things to get yours and your family ready to go as well. Okay, so let's get into it today. I want to talk about normalcy. I want to talk about a little bit about things that are happening around us, around our world, and how we're just kind of adapting to it. You're getting so used to things that it's not that we don't see things anymore, but we're numb and we're just kind of like, okay, I've had enough. I just don't care anymore because it's so much, right? Or you have folks that are literally saying, oh, well, there's not that much going on, because you're literally adapting to it as you go, and it's becoming the norm, right? And the distractions are becoming normal. The madness, the different things that are happening is still wonky, but you're just going on with life and just living with it. Now, there's a lot of different things that I talk about on this channel, and there's some stuff though that's tried and true. I mean, it's just my 100% belief of things that you should do. And one of those things is food, water, meds. Anybody who's been watching me for a while knows that that's kind of my jam. That's where I tell new preppers to start. Food, water, meds, absolutely important. If you start there, you're going to be golden. Anything you do, any day you complete something is that much closer, and you're that much better off and ready for an event. Any event, anything you do. Yes, you might not be ready. You might feel like you're not ready, but anything you do in that area is better than yesterday, baby. Okay, so just keep pushing forward and think food, water, meds, and how do you get those things? I mean, just super important. And the next thing that I'm known for saying next is you prepare for a grid down. If you prepare for a grid down situation, you're preparing for a lot of things, because you're preparing for life and living your life every day, all the things you have to do within it, without power, and then you're preparing for that so that you have those items covered, you have those areas covered, you've thought about the kind of the everyday things, you have hit all the wickets, right? How are you going to power stuff? How are you going to cook? How are you going to take care of somebody if they get hurt medically? Security, fortification, communications. I mean, you name it, it's in there. Hygiene, right? You're thinking about all those things because as a whole, you're thinking about, okay, how do I live with no power? And you're working towards that. There's also something that I'm known for is the three, I guess, events, if you will, or big things that I believe if you should prepare for. These are big ticket items, and typically they go together, a group of three, and that's famine, starvation, or famine, which is starvation, no food. That's famine, war, and like disease and viruses, right? So viruses, famine, and war. And that is something. With war, you have to worry about civil wars, wars within our country, against people, government against the people, whatever the case may be. And you're thinking about foreign wars as well. Famine, starvation, people not having food. We just talked about this the other day. Whoever has the food controls the people, right? Food is super important. It's why it's part of those three things that I say: stockpile, stockpile, stockpile. And we are headed in a direction where we are going to hit a wall with that. We are going to hit a wall and not be able to get things, not be able to get seeds, not be able to get food, not be able to get this freeze-dried food, not be able to get food that you can preserve, and whole willingly just get. There's no rations, there's no limits, right? Now is the time to get that. You cannot waste any time right now when it comes to stockpiling and preserving and getting food, period. Point blank. Does not matter. Do not waste time with this, right? Because people are going to be starving. The masses are going to be starving. The majority of people are going to be starving. Think about that. That's insanity. That's not like your little town and there's just a little group of people that are starving. That's the majority of people starving. And what does that turn into? What kind of dangers does that turn into? What type of violence do you have to worry about? Chaos you're going to have to worry about, okay? So not good. And then, of course, we've talked about this in the last week, and that's pandemics, right? Diseases, viruses. How are you going to battle that? Getting ready for the symptoms, to treat symptoms, just to start building up your home pharmacy, your home hospital. That's super important. To get a dresser, stick it in a closet, start filling it with medical supplies, start filling it with medicines, with antibiotics. Get stuff. Do not depend that the store is going to have things that you need when something goes wrong with you and your family. Do not expect or just think that the 911 is always going to be there. You need to prepare that 911 is not going to be there, that the hospitals one day are not going to be there, that urgent care is not going to be there, that there's not going to be somebody that you could just take your family member to in order to get fixed up, to get taken care of, or a medicine, or think that forever you're going to be able to get a prescription. Oh, prescriptions are forever. Like, there's always going to be those. There's people out there that think that stuff, that they're entitled to that stuff, and that stuff's always going to be there. And that's not the case. You need to prepare as accordingly. Prepare as if that medicine one day is going to go away and you can't get it. We've been dealing with shortages. Anybody who has prescriptions has been dealing with shortages or with changes, not being able to get the medicine that you're supposed to get and getting some kind of other generic or some other brand of it. And there being shortages, or so backlogged that there's gaps in their medicine because it's taking a long time to get medicine. Okay. And some folks will not fill that. Some entities will not fill that too early, right? So you try to fill it so that, because you know, hey, it's taking a couple weeks to get stuff. You try to fill it a couple weeks early, but some doctors, some places are not going to fill it that early. So people are running into, these are real life issues that people are having to deal with now. Imagine later when it's really a crisis and medicine's really an issue, or we're in a foreign conflict with countries that we get majority of our medicine and our medical pieces from, our ingredients for medicines, for making medicines, and we are stopped in our tracks and can't get that stuff, right? So you prepare for that stuff. The other thing is your natural disasters, you know, where you live, researching what's the biggest things you have to worry about. What's the biggest things we have to worry about here? Earthquake, Cascadia subduction zone, right? Tsunami. Are we far enough in that we don't get hit with that? And fires, right? It's the biggest things that we have to really worry about when we talk about natural disasters, things that could happen, big natural disasters. Of course, storms can still happen, 100-year storms, flooding, things like that, mudslides. But if you talk about the biggest things that we have to be concerned about, those are the things, at least in my area. But everybody's area is different. You have people in tornado areas, people in hurricane areas, people with that are in both of those areas. You know, other places is earthquakes, you know, so, and tsunamis, and you name it. There's a lot of stuff. Some places it's just flooding, really, really low temperatures, blizzard-like temperatures, blizzard-like weather, right? So what is the things that you have to deal with in your area where you specifically live, but also what are the big ticket items? For me, that is famine, that is pandemics, viruses, diseases, and war, right? Those are the big events. I deal with our natural disasters, and then our everyday hustle and grind is centered around food, water, meds. Even for somebody like me who's been preparing for years, you really, really still concentrate on the basics, which is water, food, meds. That's really my whole game is centered around that. I'm centered around grid down, but I'm more centered around not specifically getting the things anymore, but preparing to be self-sufficient. How do you take your life today and be self-sufficient? Imagine an EMP hitting. That's 100% self-sufficient. Grid down, things don't work. You're 100% on your own. And would you be able to provide for yourself, grow your own food, raise your own animals? Now, mind you, you have chaos, you have violence, you have all this stuff that you have to worry about on top of. It's not just surviving. It's not just living. It's surviving and living and thriving in an environment that's very, very dangerous, where you're head on a swivel. You're always going to have people after you, always going to have to be watching your property, watching your place, watching your preps, and paying attention, because there's always going to be somebody that did make it and is right around the corner, desperate and ready to take you out to get what they, you know, think you have, right? And so it's not going to be easy peasy is basically what I'm saying, right? It's not going to just be some kind of cakewalk, because like, oh, okay, well, I prepared, we're great, we're fine, we have food, no big deal. There's a whole other defending type aspect that is going to be the center of your life. Okay, it's going to be the center of your life. You know, even if you're a Christian, you're somebody who prays and all, it's going to be the center of your, violence is going to be the center of your life, because, and don't take offense to that. Like, no, God is, yes, I understand that. But what I'm saying is that violence is going to be the center, meaning it's the one thing that you're going to have to be trying to physically battle and maneuver around and through to live, to thrive. Okay. And how do you do that? Right. And because that's going to be an issue. And if you want to sit around and say, well, no, I'm not going to have to deal with that, I'm not going to worry about it, God will protect us. Yes, of course God will protect you, but you have to be smart about things too and do your part. Okay. I just think that there's a lot that different channels talk about, a lot of stuff to prep and prepare, and it can be overwhelming, and a lot of us are feeling burnt out, are feeling it. It's not like we want stuff to pop off. You're just burnt out because you're burnt out with the everything is normal. You know, all this crazy stuff in the world is just a normal occurrence. It's normal stuff. School shootings, normal. Crime, normal. People getting beat up on subways and killed and beat up for no reason. One-on-one crime, normal. You know, I mean, you name it. It's just normal. Like, we're just okay with it. People coming over the border, normal. You know, the whole push movement for, you know, trans people and all this stuff, we're in it. It's not going away. You know, elections, you name it. It's just there. It's not going away. It's going to be trash. And nothing is going to come of it. War, same old, like, right? Like, these are things that even 2 years ago, you're like, whoa, there's no way all that stuff's going to be going on at the same time. But it is, right? We are literally in a war. We are in a battle right now, beginning stages. Wars, though, last for years, baby. And so you have to just step back a little bit, maybe. Not listen to all the noise, even all the preppers. Stop listening to all that noise too. If this channel gives you any kind of anxiety, step away, baby. Step away from it and don't watch it anymore. It's not worth it. The anxiety is not worth it. The worry is not worth it. You know, God says, do not worry. Do not worry. Do not be anxious. I've got you. Just wait. Be calm. You're fine, right? And so we prepare, but it's not to worry. You should not be worrying. You should not be staying up at night worried about tomorrow, worried about if you guys are going to make it, worried you don't have enough food, worried you don't have time to get enough food, or worried you don't have enough time to get food, water, meds, you don't have enough time to get this, you don't have enough money, right? That's the stuff you give to God, right? You do not hold on to that you give to God, right? You do what you can to prepare with what you have, the means that you have, the time, energy, money you have, and the rest you give to God, right? You give it to God, and you just understand that this life that we're living in, this everyday world with all these different things, it's normal, and that's scary that it's normal, because you could just compound it. Going to get worse. And how do you continue to prepare in that? Okay. And you just concentrate on the main things, right? Water, food, meds, preparing for grid town, preparing for the natural disaster in your area, and then long-term events, preparing for the day that pandemic comes to our door again, preparing for the day that we have a foreign conflict, a real foreign conflict, where there's a draft, where there's people that are, you know, you can't go buy ammo anymore because they're all making ammo for the war, like a real war, you guys, not a proxy war, wars within our country, civil wars. I'm, preparing for that. Preparing for famine, for food, for issues. And famine, it's not just a United States thing. This will be a world thing, right? You will see other countries fall way before we do, but we won't pay attention to that. We won't pay attention to those signs. We'll just be thinking, oh, that will never happen here. That's a different country. That's how it's supposed to be over there. That stuff doesn't happen to us. And that's the other thing, having your head in the sand and believing that America is so great that we could never fall, we could never anything. And think about this, Rome, before it fell, all of the things that we are dealing with today, now, that are happening in the now, are the reasons why Rome eventually fell. Think about that. Every empire falls, right? And so America can fall, and we will fall one day. Okay, it depends what's going to happen, what pushes us over the edge and actually does that. How far away we are from that, I do not know. I'm not that type of expert, you guys. But what you can do is prepare, right? And shut out the noise, and spend time with your family. make moments, continue to make moments. Do not worry, do not be anxious, and cut that out of your life if that is happening for you with any of these channels or anything that is happening in your life, okay? So anyway, I don't know what type of video this was, maybe just me rambling on about a lot of different things. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of it. And I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.